Okay, so what I wanted to talk about now is the principle of practicality. Practicality is a through line in the Wing Chun system, in that you want to be able to use it in whichever situation that might arise. So, for example, jumping, spinning kicks, jumping in the air and spinning, kicking Carlson in the forehead is probably not the most practical move to get good at. Not to say that it wouldn't work if you practiced it 10,000 times, just that it's probably not the most practical for a street self-defense situation. Also, I mean, what happens if you're an older practitioner? You're 90 years old. Not to say that you can't do jumping, spinning kicks when you're 90, but it's just going to be less easy to do, let's say. So practicality is a principle that you want to have in your mind whenever you're practicing any of your Wing Chun techniques, skills, or whatever it might be, whether it's form or chi as well. Is this practical? So another simple idea is, like kicking. Not that kicks to the head don't work. Bang, if you kick someone to the head, it can be quite powerful and very powerful actually, and knock them out. But is that going to be something practical that you can use throughout your whole lifetime? As opposed to a kick to the groin or to the knee, which is going to be quite practical in an environment where you might need it. So we're in a crowded bar and there's people everywhere, and like people all around us here. So a head kick may not be as applicable as a low kick or just a direct strike, yeah? So practicality in those terms as well. Now, you can take that principle and look at every technique you practice, even things like, for example, sitting down, for example, we've all seen those videos on jiu-jitsu where, someone sits to the floor because they call that pulling guard, right? And look, don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing jiu-jitsu as a bad martial art. I actually really love jiu-jitsu. I think it's lots of fun and I practice it 6 days a week because I like it. But that's not a practical thing. Like Carlson and I are getting into a fight, I'm not just going to sit down. Obviously, but that's maybe not the best example because that's not what a practitioner would do. But for example, like a spinning kick too, that's not going to be the most practical for like a bar fight or in an elevator where I start to spin and turn my back, because if Carlson's a good fighter, a Wing Chun fighter would just kick straight up the center. So as soon as I turn, bang, he's kicking me in my tailbone or straight up the guts into my nuts, right? So that's another example you can have there. So practicality, once again, is something you want to have in your mind for your Wing Chun techniques. Are these things that I'm going to be able to use in a real life situation? So that's a real simple one, guys. You can just keep that in the back of your mind whenever you're practicing. You can do that, or even when you're just thinking about Wing Chun. You can, any of the principles we discussed prior to this video and also further into the actual curriculum as well, the principles are just like they're guidelines. So you can just have them there when you practice. Okay, is this practical? Am I centered when I do this? Is this am I using a sense of effortlessness? Am I direct with this? All the different principles which we'll outline throughout the course. Okay, guys, any comments or questions? Just chuck them in the community, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.